Nancy Drew, Weirdness at Waverly Academy. A story by Arglefumph. Chapter 48, Oklahoma. Nancy climbed back down the tree and went back to sleep. This time, her dreams weren't filled with strange poems and nightmares, so she slept peacefully until her alarm rang. "Time to get up already?" Nancy asked sleepily. She reached out a hand to turn off her alarm, but she only succeeded in knocking her phone to the ground. "Nuts, there goes my phone," Nancy said. She rolled out of bed and crawled under the desk, where her phone was. Nancy was surprised to see two other items there. One was a black cat note, which read, "Time's up." "Looks like Danielle got a second note from the black cat," Nancy realized. Why was it hidden under a desk, though? The other item was a small piece of wood carved to look like the state of Oklahoma. What is Oklahoma doing here?" Nancy asked. "Oklahoma?" Corine asked. Nancy backed away from the desk and showed the piece of wood to Corine. "Yeah, I found this thing that looks like Oklahoma." "That's probably from the U.S. map," Corine said. "What?" Nancy asked. "You know, the one downstairs," Corine said. "Just leave the rec room and it's on your right. They've got it locked up due to midterm study break, though." Nancy remembered that she had to get a picture of the U.S. map for Rachel's project. "Hey, thanks," Nancy said. This left Nancy with a big question, though. Why would Danielle steal a state from the U.S. map, then hide it under her desk? Nancy tried to think up a good explanation. 3 weeks earlier. "Stupid Oklahoma!" Danielle Hayes screamed. "Rejecting my application to Canute College? I'll show you! I'll hide you under my desk where no one will ever see you again!" Laughing maniacally, Danielle removed the state of Oklahoma from the map. "Now my revenge is complete!" Danielle shouted. Nancy blinked in confusion, then considered putting Danielle at the top of her suspect list. Chapter 49, Mel's Barrette. Nancy opened the door to her room, and she noticed a piece of paper on the floor. It had a cat paw print on it, complete with a note reading, "Go back to France." "Hey, guess who just got a note from the black cat?" Nancy asked. "Congratulations," Corine said. "Just don't go all Danielle on me, okay? Stay away from food closets." Nancy laughed weakly. Making jokes about someone who was sent to a psychiatric ward seemed rather cruel. After all, Nancy figured that if she was locked overnight in the safety hazard supply closet, she'd come out with mental issues too. Nancy made her way outside of the building, going to the large oak tree. She was hoping to find some evidence about the mysterious group that met by the tree at midnight. Sadly, the lightly falling snow covered up all the evidence that could have been there. Wait a minute, Nancy thought. Reaching into the snow, Nancy pulled out a purple and black barrette. There was only one person in Waverly Academy who would wear that much black and purple. Nancy made a beeline straight for Mel Corbliss's pink-flavored room. "Hey, Pinkie Pie," Nancy said. "Look, well, if it isn't the girl with the fake name," Mel said loudly. "Shh," Nancy said, checking to make sure the door was shut. Don't say that out loud." Mel scowled at Nancy. "You don't want people to find out the truth, do you?" she asked. "That's not it," Nancy said. "The whole Nancy Drew thing, that was a joke." "So you're not really an undercover detective?" Mel asked. "Good," Nancy said. "You can't fool me," Mel said. "I looked you up online. You're quite the detective, aren't you? You've solved mysteries all over the world." "Yeah," Nancy admitted. "The headmistress wanted me to come here to find the black cat." "I see," Mel said. "And what have you found out so far, little Miss Sleuth?" "I found this," Nancy said dramatically, taking out Mel's barrette. "My barrette?" Mel asked. "What's so important about that?" Nancy went into her genius detective mode. "I found it in the snow next to the oak tree," Nancy said. Judging from the amount of snow left on it and based off the meteorological patterns of this area, I can safely determine that it was dropped around midnight. Meaning you were at the oak tree at midnight. It took me a while to analyze the footprints, Nancy continued. As far as I can tell, there were probably 6 people there, but most of the prints were wiped away by some kind of heavy fabric. They matched with the fibers on the barrette, which leads me to conclude that they were part of the same outfit. Cloaks, in fact. You were wearing heavy cloaks which dragged on the ground, partially erasing the footprints, and you must have been wearing them with the hoods up because it knocked your barrette off when you took the hood off. That's amazing, Mel said, impressed. Wow, you've been playing dumb this whole time when you can analyze everything like a pro. Not really, Nancy said. You guys were making noise last night, so I looked out the window and saw you. Oh, Mel said. That makes more sense. Chapter 50. The Blackwood Society. So tell me, Nancy said, why were you with a bunch of other girls last night wearing cloaks and chanting? Mel scowled. None of your business, she said. Do you want me to tell the headmistress about it? Nancy asked. Fine, Mel sighed. You don't tell anyone about this, and I won't tell anyone you're really an undercover detective. Deal, Nancy said. Unless, you are the Black Cat, and this has something to do with it. It has nothing to do with the Black Cat, Mel promised. What you saw was a meeting of the Blackwood Society. It's a secret club that someone at Waverly founded shortly after the school started. Only 7 girls a year get to be members. It's a club? Nancy asked. Yeah, we meet about once a month, Mel said. Everyone wears a black cloak, except the leader. Hers is light blue. We meet by the oak tree and chant for 20 minutes. That's it. That's it? Nancy asked. Yes, Mel said. There's no talking or socializing, and everyone whispers, so you can't tell who they are. We literally just stand in a circle and chant about numbers for a while. Nothing else. Nancy thought about this for a moment. Either Mel was telling the truth, or she was telling the weirdest cover story ever. It's the truth, Mel said. I know it seems strange, but personally, I like all the secrecy and anonymity. The unknown is something I've always felt drawn to. Nancy shook her head. Let me get this straight, she said. The Blackwood Society is a top-secret club at Waverly Academy. That's right, Mel said. Not even the teachers know about it. You meet once a month under the oak tree at midnight, Nancy said. Why meet so late at such an out-of-the-way location? We do it for privacy, Mel said. That way, nobody outside the club will accidentally see or overhear a meeting. I found out about the club on my first day here, so you guys might want to rethink your privacy policy, Nancy pointed out. So at these top-secret midnight meetings, everyone wears a cloak to hide their identities. Actually, we wear cloaks because it gets cold at night during the winter, Mel said. Oh, Nancy said. That made a lot of sense. And during these meetings, the only thing you do is chant about numbers. Yes, Mel said. For 20 minutes, Nancy said. I know it sounds suspicious, but I swear it's true, Mel said. I believe you, Nancy said. However, I've got one more question. Mel cringed. Yes, Detective Drew, she asked. Nancy gave a huge grin. How do I join this club? She asked enthusiastically. This sounds like the coolest club ever! Chapter 51. A Brief Confrontation. You can't join the Blackwood Society, Mel said. Only real students can be members. Nancy wanted to argue, but Mel had a point. Nancy would be long gone by the time next month's meeting occurred. Anyway, that's all you'll get me to say on the matter, Mel said. I'm not going to tell you anything else. Nancy scowled. Impeding my investigation will get you added to my suspect list, Nancy said, pulling out a pen. I'll write this down in my notebook and... Where's my notebook? Mel shrugged. How would I know? I must have left it in my room, Nancy said. Be right back. Nancy left Mel's room, and she went back to the room she was sharing with Corine. Hey, Corine, Nancy said. Did I leave my notebook in here? Corine glared at Nancy. What? Nancy asked. I overheard Mel shouting at you a few minutes ago, Corine said. You've got a fake name? You were spying on me? Nancy asked. That's not nice. Neither is lying about your true identity, Corine said, narrowing her eyes. So dish. Fine, Nancy said. You're right. My name isn't really Becca Sawyer. So that's why I couldn't find you online, Corine said. So what's your real name, little Miss Liar? My real name, Nancy began. She took a deep breath. Is Rebecca Sawyer. Oh, Corine said. Becca is just a nickname, Nancy explained. I know what nicknames are, Corine said. She sighed a little bit. Darn, and I was hoping for the gossip of the century. Nancy smiled to herself as she picked up her notebook, then left the room.